Welcome back to Go Again Gaming, and welcome back to the League That Means Nothing 3. We're on to round 2, and welcome back to Lupine Fiasco. I threw you in a trial by fire the last time, asking you to comment on Zed Riptide.
No, I was happy to do it. It was exciting to start commentating. I'm glad that I know one of these ninjas a little bit better than I do Zen.
Exactly. Today we have
Yeah,
Fi versus Verdance, and you're a bit of a Fi gamer, could say. It's kind of how the channel
I've
started.
dabbled. Mm-hmm.
So what do you think's
Yeah, it's
going to
been a
happen here?
while. Been a while since I spent any time with Phi, but I'm going to imagine that Phi should have the tempo a lot of the time, or at least is looking to get tempo a lot of the time. And Verdance is mostly going to be in defense mode, just trying to sustain, trying to outlast a lot of Phi's aggression while setting up kill combo. Looking over at Verdance's side of the board, we see Storm Striders, so looking to
Yeah.
set up some kind of arcane damage. But throw in the old Felling of the Crown, Command and Conquer, maybe some Plow Unders. But for the most part, I'm expecting Phi to be on the beatdown until he either gets there or doesn't.
All right. With that, let's throw it over to the gameplay and see what goes down.
Another sponsor for The League That Means Nothing Season 3. It's Az here talking about Void Games out of Crewe in Cheshire. Tom, Big Boss Book Club on Twitter, does run this shop, and he's had some fantastic events so far. He's had Skirmish Season, of course, the ProQuest as well that we streamed on Go Again Gaming. So just a fantastic shop that's got a lot going for it, and in the future it's going to have a lot more events as well, hopefully going forward. So make sure you go and check them out when you can. Pop in the store. It's a great little shop. There might be some images or videos flashed up here for you. But thanks for Tom for sponsoring The League That Means Nothing Season 3 and being an advocate for just casually gaming in all forms of different systems and different tabletop games. So, yeah, cheers, Tom, and let's get on with the tournament.
So it looks like we have Verdance going first. Pretty standard equipment. I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that is a plume of Evergrowth as the headpiece. And we're just going to throw to Arcane, which, if I can block one of this. Fi, notably not known for running a lot of blues.
No, back in my day, it was 12 or 15 to be able to pay for the Ember Blade and maybe the Phoenix Flame or a Mounting Anger.
Yeah.
But
Occasionally
if I
pay for your
can
Art of
use...
War.
Oh, rest in
peace.
Yeah, if I can use the opportunity to cycle, we see Verdance throwing out the Waning Moon as well, just pushing a little more damage and giving Fi the opportunity to maybe filter a little bit more. But yeah, like you said, AB1 means that some damage is going to leak through.
Yeah. Not that you ever really care when you were playing Fi. I've played a bit of Fi and had a lot of Kanos local, and one of the things I learned was when you're pitching a lot to AB, it's because you're dying. And sometimes even Snapdragon Scalers was a better option, and you just went for it.
What's the reason that a lot of Zens these days are on AB0 into Runeblade? Because unless they have a blue, I mean, they're just pitching one card to block one damage, which is really never worth it.
And here we have Bittering Thorns. New card, relatively late in Fi's life cycle. I ended up playing these in Barcelona to pretty good effect. Actually giving Fi access to on hits, which he generally doesn't have on the first chain link. Oh, and an Ancestral Empowerment. We're going all in here.
I'm really liking what I'm seeing from Fi here. This is some good aggression, but the balance with deck building for Fi has always been how many draconic attacks do you want to non-draconic attacks, because the Ember Blade is such an important part of Fi's plan. So seeing Bittering Thorns and then Ancestral Empowerment is really working out here, but I wonder if, my goodness. That's quick to Tiger Body. And this is working out really well for Fi. I mean, if he gets to play something with 2 or less base power and trigger the Shuko on that Crouching Tiger, this is going to be a big turn. But I heard your surprise. Yeah, this is not my Fi.
Yeah, I was going to say, this ain't your daddy's Fi list. I also love Kenneth here breaking out the +1 there. That is a slice of pizza from the Chicago calling, deep dish
What
pizza,
a
metal fab
what a
tokens.
great set of tokens.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Kenneth,
Brandon
one of
really outdid
my
himself on that one.
got to play against me very hungover. It was very nice, man. Thank God he was on Dromai and I was on Viserai because the round before I lost to an Enigma because my brain broke. Oh, nice. Yeah. Blaze Headlong. That'll do.
Okay. To Blaze Headlong, 4 go again. The card before it was red. Sorry, we have played a red card this turn, so Blaze Headlong
Yeah.
has go again. And more importantly for Kenneth, it'll turn on Searing Emberblade's go again.
Yeah. And this is 4/4/4. It's a pretty solid turn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's the Emberblade.
Kenneth does have one card left in hand, I believe.
No, I think that
So
is.
that was it. Okay.
Yeah. Pretty solid start.
Really good turn
What you
cycle.
really need is to chain together turns like that for Fi to really force through your Pouncing Link draw.
Mm-hmm.
Scar for a Scar coming out of Verdance. Not usually one I would expect from the deck that's all about gaining life.
No, but used to good effect here. Going down lower on life total says this is just a 1 card 4 with go again. And seeing a Crane Dance from Fi, so blocking 3. This is not a 5 list that I'm familiar with. Not a board that I
No.
know. Crane Dance being a blue 3 block with combo makes sense. It makes me wonder if Kenneth is on Flick Flax.
Yeah. Those one of the things I do remember from playing a lot of Fi is you either wanted your blues to be turn starters, as in being draconic, or you really wanted them to be 3 blocks.
Mm-hmm.
With some notable exceptions, occasionally you'd see someone play something like a Snatch in the blue slot just as a turn ender.
Crane Dance. I need to pull up my Fabry real quick. I just want to confirm that it has 1 power and not 2. Because
It
that was
does, so we
always deck building decision in Fi as well. If you did have a blue 3 block, it would be something like a Lava Vein Loyalty that can get go again if you needed it to.
yes, or had 2 power.
Or had 2 power, exactly. No,
So
Crane Dance does have 1 power. I wonder
Kenneth
if
could
Soul
be
Beat
on
Strike
looking
is
for
in the
scrap.
deck. True.
And here we have an erase face card with text against Fi, depending on the hand.
Mm-hmm.
Again, going back to that played Fi at Worlds, and erase face was a card that your hand either absolutely could not deal with or did stone nothing against you.
Yep,
And it was never where it was like kind of annoying. It's one of those cards that if it either does a lot or it does nothing.
exactly.
But
You're an
we've
Aurora
really
player.
seen,
You're familiar with the idea.
yeah, I've taken an erase face for 6 and thrown back 24 and upset my opponent. So again, we're using the tunic counter. Manual dexterity error, but tunic counter for Bittering Thorns here.
Nothing wrong with that, right? 1 card 5. I like that.
Absolutely. And really, yeah, just taking a fate for scene from Verdance. We've seen
Mm-hmm.
no real decompose. We've seen 1 or 2 earth cards, so there should be the potential for decompose anyway. And then Rising Resentment, not so good with an empty hand. It has no text, but
Mm-hmm.
phenomenal when you're hiding something like a Mounting Anger.
Makes me wonder why Kenneth blocked with the Ancestral Empowerment rather than saving it to try and get at least 4 points of value on that Bittering Thorns.
Yeah, very fair. Maybe thinking about keeping his life high. Wizards do wizard things. Yeah, we're just going to Fruits of the Forest here, gain 2 life. Might be on for something like a Plow Under or a Fell of Crown now.
Yeah, any way that Earth can Earth Heroes can fill that graveyard ahead of Decompose is going to be nice.
Yeah, it is a Cadaverous Tilling. So it's going to be
Little
8.
Cadaverous.
Just 3 for 8, really good rate. But at the same time, unless my hand is non-functional here as Fi, I'm probably just being like, yeah, feels good. Send me the bill. I
Yeah.
will deal with that later.
This is a point in the game for Fi where he can really decide how he wants to. Does he want to maximize value and just say, how do I get the best numbers out of this hand? We've seen Kenneth be defensive already, to your point that keeping a healthy life total against Wizard is a nice buffer as we get into the later part of the game. So maybe he does play a little defensively, choosing to optimize for overall value rather than offensive value. But
Yeah,
Fi can absolutely just take 8, send back 20.
looks like we're taking 5 anyway, blocking with a fine center.
We'll see if that was an extraneous blue or uh, maybe Kenneth did decide to sacrifice some offensive value. But what's interesting to me is we're seeing a second 3-block, 1-power blue. I've heard of some players really diversifying the types of blue they have. That's an engulfing flamewave.
Yeah,
Diversifying their blues so that they are more resilient to bonds of agony.
that seems like a good decision overall. And engulfing flame wave, definitely not one that you see a lot of in Fi. Even
Love it.
like, it didn't take long for people to realize that playing a 2 cost was not exactly always where you wanted to be.
I love engulfing flamewave though. Back to the days of belittle Phi, when you could
Mm,
open with Brand with Cinderclaw, play your belittle, get your minnowism, follow up with flamewave, Emberblade, CNC. It's really those were the golden days.
back when you could just cheat resources for whatever cost you wanted.
It's the best way
Reaching
to play.
tenacity for the Ember Blade. Loading 1 means we have access to the Phoenix Flame. We have a card left in hand.
Mhm. Seeing a Plow used on defense. Of course, Verdance putting more earth into the graveyard, but as an aggro player, seeing them block with Arsenal hate is always a great feeling.
Yeah, but that either tells you maybe they have some Arsenal hate. Oh, we're putting
Ooh,
our
bottoming
gold,
the
taking
Phoenix
it.
Flame.
That's a huge risk.
That is. And it's a great way to finish a game, but as we're sort of still, I'd say in the early game or maybe approaching the mid game,
Mm,
not having that Phoenix Flame is a huge liability. At the same
yeah,
time, we've already seen Kenneth play a larger number of non draconic attacks than I would expect. So maybe his deck functions just fine without the Phoenix Flame.
awesome. Be interesting to see now. Anyway, here's our first big Earth attack. Like I know we've had the cadavers, but this is a much bigger deal than something like here's 8 damage. This is some actual disruption stapled to a
Yes.
huge attack.
Yep. It's going to be a lot harder for Kenneth to play that overall value game when he's already going down to 3 cards because of the felling. Putting a 3-block blue in front of the felling, sure, it prevents some damage, but it means that you are just playing with a 2-card hand. Of course, a slight
Mhm.
misplay from Kenneth, assuming that he had to discard the card from hand rather than bottom it.
Yeah, I mean these are new-ish cards. If you don't like, Kenneth is aside from a Fi gamer, an illusionist gamer. You're not going to see a whole lot of felling of the crown in that matchup. And I think when you're playing in a lot of Enigma, you're pretty happy to ignore most of what your Earth opponents are doing.
Mhm. Kenneth says, send me the bill, takes 8, goes to
Yeah,
23.
picking up the tunic.
And as far as we've seen from Patrick, no real surprises so far. Sticking to that typical Earth Hero game plan of filling the graveyard, throwing some big beaters. But we haven't seen any real arcane damage except for that turn 0 play of
Well,
um,
just as
spell
you
into
say it,
winning.
here we go. We have a block from a pulsing Aether Life into aspect of Tiger Body, block again, into Tiger. What is Kenneth got to come after this Crouching Tiger? I wonder.
Be Tiger for 0. I gotta think it's Pitch Blue for Emberblade. There's no Phoenix Flame. Good old
No, it's
Lava
just a
Burst.
lava burst just to extend the combat chain.
This is a great line from Kenneth, knowing that he bottomed the Phoenix Flame. Aspect of Tiger Body being a way to get more rupture out of your Lava Burst, especially when you don't have the Phoenix Flame, is a really cool deck building decision. I really like that.
Yeah, you get your Shuko trigger as well.
mean, this is great. This is what, a 3-card 12? That's a very good rate for Fi. And not needing the
Absolutely.
Phoenix Flame to do it is extremely helpful.
Yeah, Patrick just taking the 6, kind of in a spot, I imagine, where he has to keep some cards so that he can decompose on his turn. Doing the quick graveyard check, which tells me, yes, absolutely, the plan is to decompose this turn.
Could be a
We're
Felling,
at,
could be a Plowonder, which would not be super helpful.
no. In fact, it is a play one.
Do that Plowonder. It's a 2-card 6 that puts 2 or 3 more Earth cards in Patrick's Banish. It's not a terrible play, but Kenneth wisely playing around the Arsenal hate.
I would imagine only going to put 2 in. Yeah. Like, there's no point. 2 and 7, 6 and 7 is functionally the same in this situation here.
Exactly. It just gives Patrick more buffer to be able to decompose without needing to block from hand necessarily.
Yeah. Thing we didn't really talk about earlier as well was the Stonewall Gauntlet, which, generally speaking, quite a good piece of equipment against Ninja, except for Fi, who is pretty liberal with his ability to break the chain.
Yes. Pretty liberal with the ability to break the chain. He does have a few attacks that buff power. Lava Burst, Phoenix Flame is a big one. Spreading
Mm.
Flames is if Fi opens with Spreading Flames, it gets blocked by Stonewall Gauntlet. But yeah, Fi can always break the chain and start over, but that is a lot of damage lost. If he was maybe had a 5-card hand and was expecting to go
Yeah.
very, very wide.
But with it off the board, your Spreading Flames are pretty much a free roll here. And leading with Mounting Anger, one of the most important on hits in Fi, to be
Mhm.
honest. Because it's just, again, it's a 1 for 5 if it hits. And most people, you've no idea what it is as long as it's a 0 cost here. One of the best things you can get off this is something like a Snatch.
Being able
Or
to
if you have.
Banish a Snatch, attack for 5, even being able to, in this situation, it would be a weird use of resources and there's no Phoenix Flame in graveyard, but you can, with your Mounting Anger trigger on the stack, activate 5, pick up your Phoenix Flame, then banish your Phoenix Flame to the Mounting Anger effect.
Yeah, looks like Kenneth is elected not to banish to the Mounting Anger and is just was just probably using it to bait some blocks.
Hmm.
Setting up an arsenal, going to look for that 5-card hand on the next turn.
Setting up the 2-card 7 for 5 is never bad.
Nope, especially when your opponent's at 14.
Got an Erase Face for 6, like you were saying, this could either do everything or nothing. Fi is still sitting on that Tiger Stripe Shuko, could even block with the Tunic if he had a 3-block in hand and wanted to keep 4 cards. It looks like that Tunic is about to be full, so it's a pretty bad value proposition to do so, but 4-card 5 with Mask of the Pouncing Lynx and Tide Flippers could present
Oh,
quite a lot of damage.
looks like we're just going for the full blocks here.
Interesting.
Very strange. Maybe there was no turn start. Nope. Phoenix Flame for 0.
Oof. The single Phoenix Flame for 0. That explains blocking with the Snatch. And I don't believe that Kenneth has shuffled since playing that E-Strike and bottoming the Phoenix Flame. We saw Flame Call Awakening used on defense,
Yeah,
so
I,
Kenneth at least running 2 Phoenix Flames and possibly
I,
a third.
I do think there was a line for blank Phoenix Flame into what's the card that searches a Phoenix Flame again?
Flame Call Awakening?
Into Awakening, and then pitch the Flame plus Tunic into CNC there. But again, that puts you at like 14. So maybe Kenneth just wanted to keep the life total instead, because I don't think Verdance is going to find a huge amount of purchase for a 5-card hand.
Mm-hmm. I could have seen the
It's
line
gonna
too of playing Phoenix Flame Snatch.
either way. Here we have a Sift for 2, obviously follow, which was led into by a Sigil, and now Fruits of the Forest. We're back to 19. Verdance counting the grave means probably some decomposing. Yeah, here's the felling of the ground.
There it is. And I believe Verdance is online at this point. So, in that end game state of anytime Verdance gains life during her action phase, Fi will take 1 point of
Yeah,
damage. And
I'm
perhaps Kenneth can. Okay, go ahead.
kind of looking at this from here. I would probably be inclined, depending on the state of my hand, take 8 and just try and drop this life total difference quite a bit because unless you're sending back something disruptive like a Command and Conquer or an E-Strike, either disruptive like a Command and Conquer or damage based like an E-Strike, one or two cards isn't really going to cut it against your Verdance opponent at 19. Yeah, blocking with
Blocking with
a
an.
Snatch and an E-Strike.
See what Kenneth has in hand. Using 2 cards that represent 7 damage makes me think that perhaps he is sitting on. Okay,
Nope,
we've got a
just a
Blaze
4 here.
Headlong. hmm Right, because Felling bottomed the 4th card.
Mm-hmm. But we've now seen 2 Fellings out of Patrick. I'm pretty sure the Plow Unders are either played, blocked with, or gone to the bottom of the deck now.
I believe the Plowlanders are
So,
gone.
yeah, Verdance taken 4. Maybe I will find a route back into this game now by avoiding some disruption.
He's going to need to work for it. Verdance is a wizard, but I would not. I would compare her more to Florian Oldhim Jarl these days, in the sense that as soon as she is stable, Fi is going to need to work much, much harder to win this game. It's much easier when Verdance doesn't have the decompose, when her hero power isn't online. But as soon as she's stable, she's got a good equipment loadout still on the
Yeah,
board. It's really
here we
her
go.
game to lose at this point.
Gain 3, deal 3, take 3.
Now, Kenneth does have the AB1, so could pitch a blue and prevent all 3 of those points of damage. But anytime Fi is blocking, that means he is dealing less damage on his turn, especially if he is using his only blue to prevent this
Yeah,
damage.
you're really looking for something akin to a big pouncing things turn here to change the tide of this game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Kenneth just taking it.
Yeah.
And then
Send
a
me the
Waning
bill.
Moon. So what we
Just
need
for
to do here,
2.
and another 4. Oof. That is
This is a big
that's a
turn.
hell of a turn right there.
Mm-hmm. What is that? A 4-card 12 that also gains 3 life?
Yeah. Kenneth just taken it, decided that this is the stand he has to make. Totally reasonable.
This is a good time to
Probably
do it.
knows there's not much of another route back through this game now.
This is the time. Tunic is up, 5 cards, Pouncing Link's available, Tide Flippers on the board for maybe a double Salt the Wound, double Lava Burst. This could be the
Yeah.
turn that flips this game.
Yeah. What you really need to do now is fade something like an Emeritus Scolding.
Mm-hmm.
Because either more likely a blue one, because that's more likely what you're to see, but an Emeritus could really just sort of spell the end of the game. Because those are some big numbers on your opponent's turn.
Sink Below from Arsenal, overblocking the brand with Cinderclaw. Makes me wonder if Patrick is looking at your line and just has the cards in hand to instant speed kill Fi. And is just trying to bait out the rest of Fi's hand, not so much focused on efficient blocking as much as blocking, period.
Yeah. Here we have a Bitter in Thorns that is, in fact, draconic.
Could
I
also be
feel
that
like this
Patrick
is
just wants to.
I feel like this is a game that if you reintroduce Art of War into Flesh and Blood, changes the game entirely.
Oh, yeah. Oh my god, the Tunic Art of War line would be really helpful here in that it makes me think, back in the day, you've got a 5-card Tunic Pouncing Lynx Fi against an 18 health hero with armor and an arsenal. Very winnable. Fi can just do 35 damage from that position. But without Art of War, it's a lot harder to actually
Yeah.
get the kill.
I mean, I've been there, I've done that. And here we have Emberblade 4 thanks to Bittering Thorns. So we have 3 Draconics, which means we go get our Phoenix Flame, sending
Notably,
in Phoenix
not
Flame.
breaking pouncing links. Not breaking pouncing links on the Bittering Thorns. So I wonder if Kenneth does want to. Maybe Kenneth is just confident that he has the ability to hit later on in the turn and just wants to see, are we grabbing Salt the Wound or are we grabbing Tenacity?
Tenacity, that was a huge ad for Fi as well.
Still did not make Victor winnable, but we all thought maybe.
And here we have a Lava Burst for 6. So this might be that break Tide Flippers, break Pouncing Links kind of line that you're talking about.
Verdance does have the cards in hand to be able to block this out. We are now playing kind of an interesting game of chicken where Kenneth could break the Tide Flippers, break the Pouncing Links, grab a Tenacity, deal a bunch of damage, and if Patrick doesn't block any of it, then that is lethal. But as soon as Kenneth uses the Tide Flippers, that's AB0. And if Kenneth is sitting on that Emeritus Scalding Waiting Moon line, that's lethal. Or even just Red Emeritus with
Absolutely.
the Storm
Or
Striders.
even just gaining some life and finding ways to sneak in a couple of Waning Moon chip shots.
Mm-hmm.
So we have 3 cards in hand. Patrick's thinking about this one now.
Checking discard, seeing what's left in the deck.
Just going to Rootbound Carapace it.
Rootbound Carapace blocking 4, Lava Burst still dealing 2 over the top. That is the ability to break Pouncing Links and find another card using a second Rootbound.
No decompose on the second one. 1 card left in hand. I'm very curious to know what is in Kenneth's arsenal.
You're going to have to wait a turn to find out.
Obviously not an attack with Go Again, because otherwise we'd be following it up.
It's a weird situation for Kenneth where, yes, he stripped almost all of Patrick's hand. He dealt some damage, still has the tuning up, still has an arsenal and Pouncing Links. In theory, the game is looking good. Kenneth is clawing his way back into it and taking tempo. But Patrick is sitting on Storm Striders and has instant speed Arcane in the deck. So really, Kenneth is just stalling at this point.
Well, you as a member of Metal Fab Tokens know all about how quickly Storm Striders can shorten a game. You have a couple of wizards, I've heard, on that team. I heard they're pretty good at the deck, you know?
Trash Hero, they don't even play it anymore.
I've also seen that.
No, I would say Verdance is a lot closer to Icelander at this point, where you're putting her to 0, closer to 0, but 1 is not 0. And anytime you are going down on cards and not presenting lethal against your wizard opponent, you do feel really bad about your spot in the game.
That's not a bad turn. Very generic turn. E-Strike for 5, Command and Conquer for 6. But again, at any point, could just be dead.
Not threatening lethal here is huge. And of course, worst case for Patrick, he just blocks 6 and then still has at least still has 1 Felling of the Crown in the deck, should still have 2 Cadaverous Tellings.
Just says take it.
Ouch.
That's very unnerving for anyone playing against.
Go to 2, lose my arsenal is never anything anyone wants to see.
Yeah, looks like we've got a Pulsing Aether life, so we're going to gain a life, deal an Arcane, and then send 4 Arcane. Are we melding this? We are. So gain a life, Verdance trigger, have the blue.
It's going to take a blue. That'll put Kenneth down to 1, but this should be lethal after Waning Moon.
Waning Moon should be the end of it. So we pitch for the Verdance trigger. We have 1 AB for the Pulsing Aether, going to 1. And then for the BM, here's another Verdance trigger. I'm actually at 6.
Regrowth. Rampant
Yeah,
growth
it
until life into rampant growth. Never didn't have it.
feels like we're just getting fancy now.
I mean, why don't you
So,
want your opponent to know how good your hand was?
oh no, because what you want to do is you want to kill them and then reveal everything and be like, listen, you were dead 6 ways anyway. I still
Cat
had all
cultivated
these.
for 45. So close game. I just never
Yeah,
quite found the opportunity to pop off. Verdance was able to sustain through the early game, stabilize in the mid game, and once we got to the late game, just had the correct hands, correct cards, and the correct hands to block out and make sure that Fi could never do the big pouncing legs turn. And
yeah.
no
It
art of
was
war on Fi to push one over through exact blocks.
just looked like a tough one all around there for Phi. Very unfortunate. Um, but congratulations to Patrick. Moving
Hmm.
on with another win in the league that means absolutely nothing. Congratulations. It means nothing,
Very
but
well played.
I'm sure it means something to you. Yeah, extremely well played, and I'm sure Kenneth will manage to pull it back. Fly, despite losing something like Art of War, which was so integral to the hero's identity, still has the capability of putting out like 15, comfortable 12 to 15 damage turns.
Oh yeah.
Um,
If nothing else,
but
Fi is still a ninja, and ninjas are always going to have that possibility of doing 25 damage in a turn, especially when you can break pouncing legs and find the best card in your deck.
and then we have a lot more coming up for Fi in the hunt,
Oh yeah,
which I'm sure you'll have a lot to say about when we see spoilers leaking through. Might return to your first love.
possibly Fi, possibly Syndra, but Draconic Ninja's back on the menu.
As you've been currently wandering the elemental side of things. But
And
that's it.
hard to find a home.
Yeah, that's it for this episode. And hope you enjoyed the game. I hope you enjoyed the commentary. Please make sure like, comment, subscribe, tell Az how great a job he's doing with the league. That means nothing. And John, where can people find you if they're looking to find you?
You can search for Lupine Fiasco or Daily Fab Gameplay on YouTube. I'm also on Blue Sky under Lupine Fiasco. Um, Weekly videos, 3, 4, maybe even 5 a week, just reviewing gameplay. Something really similar to this, actually.
Awesome. Please make sure go tell John Lupine Fiasco how great a job he's doing on commentary, even if you don't think he is. I'm sure he'll appreciate it. And you can find me on Twitter at finals_spirit or finalspirit.bsky.sub. But for now, we'll see you in the next one.